Muses. Welcome to Miss Martin Muses, where we talk about what makes me laugh, makes me cry, makes me happy, makes me sad, or just really ticks me off. Well, today, this certainly does not tick me off. This makes me happy. It makes me very happy. One, it makes me happy to be back for Teresa Travels Tuesday because I actually have some things to talk about on Tuesday. I did some more traveling, and also to share with you the home of Robert E. Howard. Robert E. Howard was the creator rather, of Conan the Barbarian. I do have a biography of him that I made a video if you want to check out some more about his life. Very tragically short life. But this is where he wrote all these amazing tales and also where he sadly had his sad moments in life. But we're not going to really dwell on that. I talk about that in his biography. Let's have a look. First of all, where are we going? Oh, look who it is. Hello, Heisman. Thank you for being here. Robert E. Howard. Love Robert E. Howard. Yes, he created Conan the Barbarian, Solomon Kane, King Cole. Create. Oh gosh, who's that Irish dude? Just amazing. This man just sat and wrote like a maniac, and in many ways, a little bit like it. We think that he most likely was suffering from some form of mental illness, obviously depression, and perhaps even something more. He lived sadly in a time where he couldn't probably get the help that he needed, and may he rest in peace. So, to orient ourselves, why, hello, it's Ubaldo T. Thank you for being here. Thank you for the rose. I love Conan the Barbarian. Yes. Hello, says Emilio. Thank you for being here. So, usually I'm over here in Europe and I'm quite often in Ireland, but no, we are going all the way back to the United States of America to see where he lived. I would remember being very surprised that the creator of Conan was from such a humble place, and of course, a sad story. But so it's a place called Cross Plains, Texas. So look, we're zooming in on Texas, zooming in even closer in the middle of nowhere. I'll tell you what, this was a tiny, tiny town. So as we got closer and closer, there just wasn't anything. If you want to spend the night in this area, I believe Cisco is where you can find the nearest proper hotel. We found an Airbnb closer. Boom! Here we are, Cross Plain, Texas, established in 1911. Hello, 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 everyone coming in and those that will be watching on the replay. Check this out. Population 899. Tiny town then, tiny town now. And within there, you can find the Robert E. Howard Museum. This is the pamphlet I got while I was there. Oh, you know why this says Howard's House or whatever? I took this picture because it's in Norwegian. They have several pamphlets in different languages if you need the translations. Most of the information they have there is in English. So I got this because I thought it was cool. So if you want to visit the museum, my humble opinion, the easiest way to do so is to go during the Conan E. Howard Days, which is a festival kind of deal that lasts over 2-3 days. The Robert E. Howard Museum is open the entire time, and you will get to hear all sorts of lectures on different aspects of Robert E. Howard's work. Otherwise, you have to make a special arrangement. I don't know how easy or not that is. I think they have like a phone number. There are people who have dedicated themselves to preserving his legacy. So there are volunteers that will probably show you around and give you a small tour, but it's easier when everyone's there. I don't know when it is this year. I happened to go to it last year. Look at this. Oh my gosh. This is t-shirt design, but they also have posters you can get there. The Robert E. Howard Museum. You see Robert E. Howard there, and there's his boxing champion. That was actually during his lifetime his most famous and popular character. You have Solomon Kane and Conan the Barbarian. Ooh, I forget who this chick is. I would be a liar if I said I was an expert on all of his works. I've read the Conan the Barbarian stories and Solomon Kane, but one of these days I want to read the others. Oh, and of course King Cole. Is King Cole here? I don't know. Because this is the Irish dude. That's so amazing. It is. It really is. Great, great artwork. Gosh, what the heck is that character's name? I have it somewhere in my notes. One of these days, I'll read more than Conan the Barbarian and Solomon Kane, but I'll tell you what, the amount of writing just there is unbelievable, and I got this work called The Complete Works of Robert E. Howard, just an essay kinda deal of the background of the whole universe, that part of his, creation. It read like the blankety blanken Silmarillion. It is just unbelievable. Red Sonja, actually, it is not Red Sonja. Red Sonja was not his creation, though he had a character named Sonja, but it was not the Red Sonja that we know. That would be cool if it was. Sam Supply or S&M Supply Company. And here we are at the museum. Yay! And Project Pride, that's the people who like Robert E. Howard. You can see that this plaque over here, this tells about the building and about Robert E. Howard, and etcetera. Hurry up a little bit closer, you see that it is a National Register of Historic Places. Tiny little house. It is Soul Assassin. Hey, y'all, smash that like. Well, thank you for being here. You went to the museum, that's awesome. Yes, yes, it is. If you have an opportunity, I would really encourage it. It's out in the middle of nowhere. You need to drive, but it's worth it. Many of the visitors, they will fly into Dallas airport and then rent a car and drive down. They told me they get people from all over the world, and people from all over the world come for the Robert E. Howard days. Alright. This is inside the museum. Obviously, this is not from his time. This is not contemporary. This is a painting somebody did based on, the very famous photograph that everyone sees of him. So, Robert E. Howard, he lived with his parents his entire life. He was never married, and he this is their little living room. You can see there to the left, there's a lady there who is our tour guide. Those are her notes telling us all about it. So you can imagine Robert E. Howard and his family hanging out in there. Look at that. Look at that. There's a bookcase, and a lot of these books are ones that would have been contemporary with his time. And then here you see some of his things on display. Got a comment. Red Sonja of Ragatino, not comic book Red Sonja. Yes, that is exactly what it is. Thank you. Thank you for letting me know. And then later she came something else. It's like a 3 hour drive from my city. Oh, well, that's not too bad. I think you can do that. All right. And there's the family radio. So you can imagine him. maybe with his family or even by himself, listening to the radio shows. Back then, that was the equivalent of TV. I just decided to zoom in on this. And all of these in info cards, they tell you more details. We move over to the kitchen, and all over you'll see all these little pamphlets, etcetera, telling people telling you about his life, some of his stories, and some displays of letters that you might have. Yeah, here, they just have some things with Solomon Kane and some photographs of the contemporary of when he lived there and some of himself, I believe. That must be 80 or 90 years old. Yes. See, 1920s, 1930s. He passed away. He took his own life in when was it? It was 1935, I think. Now, not all of these things are the ones that belonged to him, though. Fair warning, and they tell you where when you go there because of them not thinking anything was too special. A lot of these items were sold or given away, the real ones, and or passed to relatives when Robert E. Howard's father passed. Many people, though, gave them back if they could find them. I mean, think about it. If you were to keel over or sadly die the way he did, people wouldn't be thinking, "Oh, yeah, let's save all this," because he wasn't a big deal. Conan wasn't a big deal. Conan I mean, he was popular, don't get me wrong, but he didn't become huge in the way we know him until the '60s. Correct me always if I'm wrong on these, but they just didn't think he was that special. As you can see, they have lots of Conan things. This is his death certificate, a little bit grim. Midnight's Edge did a good doc on him. Oh, okay, yeah, and I did do a biography here on my channel based on my research. I just get so moved by his story. If you zoom in, you can read the quite frank, gory details here, which I thought, okay. Hey, look! Now we are getting to Robert E. Howard's room. It was really small. So you have a kitchen, you had the living room, and then down the hallway, this itty bitty area, very narrow, where Robert E. Howard slept and lived and wrote all of his works. For effect, they are showing things like crumpled up papers and the like, because that, frankly, is what he would have looked like. His room would have looked like, rather. All right, now you can get an idea of the whole room and how it was very small, very narrow, and that's where he would, like, for hours, sometimes days, without sleep, he just kept writing and writing. Okay, thank you. Go after the stream to that. No, I do encourage everyone to go further. Now, the other room in the house was a bedroom. This is where his mother and father were. Look how pretty all this stuff is. The wallpaper. She was very, very ill. So this is where she would have been. Robert E. Howard was a caretaker for his mom, and it was her impending death that put him over the edge. So they had a double funeral. Yeah, he removed self-deleted when they said that his mother was gonna die. She was in a coma and wasn't gonna wake up, and then she died, I believe, a day or 2 later. Really horrible tragedy on so many levels, and horrible, of course, for his father. Well, he's very talented. Yes, he was. Mhm. Check this out. I love this picture because none other than Arnold Schwarzenegger. He wrote a dedication to the Robert E. Howard Museum. He wasn't there, but I guess some people had met him and asked him to do this from what I understand, and put it here, so it's on display. There's Arnold blessing the area, if you will. Ah, now here's the library in the town. Yeah, that's basically it for his house in the museum. They do have a very small bookstore there, but believe it or not, a lot of items that I expected to be on sale were not because some of the rights belong to, is it Del Rey or some really big publishing company. So many things weren't there that I expected that you could buy in the bookstore, but definitely a lot about Robert E. Howard's life and some of his other writings. But here, if you go into this museum, they have a lot of Robert E. Howard's stuff, his letters, etc., archived. During the Robert E. Howard Days festival thing, they were all out for everyone to see. But I understand that you might be able to ask to see them, especially if you're not a weirdo crazy person. He loved his mother very much, didn't he? Yes. I mean, it it was very, very sad, and he was also being a caregiver, she had tuberculosis, so caring for your mother going through all that, that's a lot, and then especially for a man who, I don't know, people a person who had depression, I think he did. Very, very hard. Oh, thank you. Now, if you wanna see my Conan vid after you're done here. And this is a little statue thing I bought. It was a vendor at the Conan place, so I don't know if you can buy something like this there now, but I really liked it because it had Robert E. Howard dressed up with symbols of all of his characters, for the sword for Conan, the boxing gloves, the 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 cape and stuff for the Solomon Kane, and his typewriter, sword and the typewriter, and I just thought, "That is pretty darned awesome." Oh, that's for my next one. Thank you very much, Soul Assassin. That is my Conan vid. So, this is short and sweet because not a lot to see there, but I wanted to put this up because I think it's very important. And if this little live stream helped you get some curiosity about Robert E. Howard, then that makes me a very happy camper. And I would definitely encourage everyone to learn more about him and read his original stories. Now, his original works are not under copyright anymore. So a lot of people are having a lot of fun with them. And you can get some very good audio versions of his works too. It's pretty amazing. He's very talented towards here. Yes. I When you think about the fact that he only came up with Conan the Barbarian like 2 years before he died. And he had published them in the Weird Tales and everything. So, and the extent of the originality of his characters. If you don't know anything about Solomon Kane, oh my gosh, go learn it. I just love it. The Puritan monster slayer. It and he he also would write some westerns. I remember that, yeah, and I think he was going in that direction. He really was into the history of Texas and the culture around him. He didn't like civilization. Part of the thing that he said that barbarity was far more interesting, far more civilized than actual civilization. He was very disgusted with the like, what happened to his town and the areas when some oil was found and just people and humans. Actually, the more I'm thinking about it, I am relating to this man. I think that if he'd stayed with us, he might have become a recluse. He was pretty close to it in his own life, but I'm so on my way to almost going off to a cave, etc. There's also a good movie about it. There's a good movie about it. I forget what it's called, but it's very, very sad. Are his characters public domain? Many of them are, yeah, but it gets complicated because I because Conan is not. He is not public domain. I forget who owns him now, but I know Marvel has a lot of rights to him, and so does some other publishing companies. So, like Conan and Red Sonja, even though Red Sonja isn't technically his, are ones. Who else? Um, yeah. So you need to look that up. Currently, Titan Comics has many rights to his story, I think, for comics, and they are amazing. They're coming out with new ones every month at least. They've got a new series of Conan, and it is just dripping with the style of what we know to Conan the Barbarian to be, and it was in the honor of Robert E. Howard. It is so well written, and then at the end of each comic, they have a little essay talking about the characters that will be within the arc. They're coming up on number 10, I think, is the next one that's gonna come out, and they revived the Savage Sword of Conan, with an all new Solomon Kane story shoved into it as well. So if you like Conan the Barbarian and want new material about him, those are the best. They're great tributes. Also, there's some new stories where they continue or do a prequel to one of the original Robert E. Howard ones. The next one's coming out in June. Oh, well, thank you. Yes, please follow me on Twitter. Thanks, Teresa. Looking forward to seeing you with Archer Colin for the pub crawl tomorrow. Oh, heck yes. Thank you, Darren M. It's going to be a blast. We're going to have loads of fun. Yes, we will, precious. Um, yes. So thank you. That makes it for a very nice segue. Tomorrow on Pub Crawl for night 5, we're having a new night. It's going to be Archer Collin. He does living history from the 14th century. It's going to be so much fun. So we're going to talk about history, living history, and maybe even some of the wild stuff happening in the Middle Ages. Also, I have him continuing my Kings of England story. We are now getting to the anarchy. I am calling it House of the Plantagenets because this is the Plantagenets, the civil war over the succession because Matilda was supposed to be the queen. She was the only heir, but they weren't too crazy about a woman heir, and her cousin will be challenging her. If you've seen House of the Dragon, you know that Robert E. Howard, he did take inspiration as well as tribute to some of these historical events. So that's what's coming up for certain. So stay tuned, and have a great. Thank you for being here, Soul Assassin, Darren M, Heisman, Emilio, Ubaldo T, and those that will be watching on the replay. Have a great day. Have a great day, and be certain to read Robert E. Howard's original stories.